up at the crack of dawn, not to actually get work done, but to try and catch what's supposed to be a wonderful and beautiful sunset. We'll see if we actually make it because someone took extra time getting ready this morning. I wish I was running right now. Found the secret to having a private beach with $1 million view all to yourself. Just wake up at 5 and there's nobody here. Compare that with just 12 hours ago where there were people everywhere. Gotta bring this closer because I don't even know if you can hear me. But, oh, this right here, this is why I wanted to come. So I could just run on the beach in the mornings. One of my favorite things to do. So peaceful. So peaceful. And it just feels like you're flying, and unfortunately now my Achilles tendon is the size of a golf ball. I have a perpetual limp because I think a rock hit the top of my heel, and my left knee is totally messed up. But you know what? The first week of running was fantastic. Let's find the sunrise. Almost have the beach to yourself. Well, we tried to get the sunset, but I think we're just on the wrong side of the island. I'm pretty sure that right over there is where you're getting a really great shot, whereas here, this is pretty much all you get. You just get a little bit of the colors of the sunrise. So if you aren't on the side of the, I don't know which side I'm on, but if you're not on the side of the island where all the water sports are, then just wait for the sunset, because that's way better than this. So now I am limping my way back to breakfast before a team meeting with my business partner Jesse, and while I limp, I figured I might as well share my experience with these crazy looking shoes, Vibrams. So these are the ones where there is a hole for each individual one of your toes, and it took me, walking around the house, it took me 2 months to break them in. And I started at about 2 hours a day, got to around 6, and it really takes a long time to get used to them. Your toes really do hurt. You can't just put them on and then go for a run. And so by the time I got here, I've been wearing them for 2 months. They did a really good job of just protecting the soles of my feet from all of the stuff that's on the beach, although it is very clean here, just stepping on like rocks, coconuts, and what's this, all this green stuff, seaweed, right? What it doesn't do is it has zero padding. So that's part of why my heel's all messed up, my ankle's the size of a golf ball, is because I just was not ready for the impact of the sand because of the way the tides work here. Even if you're running right along the water, it's still pretty much like running on concrete because of the way the tides work. Whereas in California, when I would run, if you're right on the water, it's nice and squishy and you don't mess up your feet. Okay, way more information than you needed. Time for breakfast and then get ready for that meeting. Just finished up breakfast, load up on protein because that's what you do at a buffet to get your best bang for your buck. So now I'm on the way back to the hotel room to meet with my business partner Jesse because it has been a full week since I've done pretty much any real work and talked to him. And you know, every time you go on vacation, and I don't know what it is about planes, but every time I got on a plane, I seem to have this whirlwind of ideas. I think it just comes down to the fact that you are completely disconnected and you have nothing to do other than stare at the notebook or stare out the window and actually think about what you're doing with your life. So I'm going to talk about some content changes and then hopefully hear that all of our clients are happy and okay. Join meeting. Doesn't seem to matter where I am or what time of day it is. For some reason, I am always 5 minutes late to these things. I wind up having to get coffee or water or do some last minute thing, even though I could be ready to go at 10 minutes before, but I always find something to be late for. Although I lucked out this time because it looks like I'm actually first. Hey, bro.
Hey, sorry. Hey, I didn't know we were doing them on. I know we said Mondays. I didn't know we were doing them. I thought you had another week off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was my bad too. All right. Thanks, bro. Talk to you Thursday. Bye. All right. So turns out that we both had some miscommunication about Mondays or Tuesdays. So I actually have a few free hours before I get a much needed massage. So I've got to find some copywriting to do because I actually didn't have a plan beyond the meeting, because normally the meeting determines what I wind up doing for the rest of the week. So when these types of things happen, I think it's really easy to get sidetracked and jump into all the other little things. But if it's before, essentially if it's before 12 o'clock, I'm going to go and try and find something that's more intellectually taxing or something that I have to use my creative juices for, because after 12, I'm pretty much dead, and that's when I do all the administrative project management and review stuff. So I got to find something to write copy about and then get a much needed massage because my ankle is so swollen. And while I was not able to find anything to do copywriting for, I was able to find some YouTube ads that I had just worked on that needed some graphics and slides. Now, when it comes to YouTube ads in general, one of the most important things, of course, other than just getting it done, is not getting too hung up on what shows up on screen. We actually had a YouTube ad that was about 70% either B-rolls or just something I made in Google Slides, and only 30% of it was me actually talking, and that's because you could totally tell that I was reading the teleprompter, because I like to really script the YouTube ads, unlike these videos where I can just kind of talk casually, and if I screw up on a particular word or go through the wrong example, it's not as huge of a deal, because when you're doing a vlog, you don't have to split test what you're saying, unlike YouTube ads where it's kind of hard to split test an ad if you're saying something different every single time and you're not actually really focused on what different kind of benefits or features you're talking about. So right now what I do is we actually make 3 different versions of ads. So I think in the previous vlog I was writing the ads, and now I'm creating the graphics for them, and we're trying to work on a way where I'm only on screen for 5 to 10% of it, and that's simply because recording ads takes a really long time. The last round of YouTube ads I recorded, it wound up taking 7 hours. Now there's a little asterisk there because the first 3 hours the camera didn't autofocus, and so everything was blurry and I had to redo it. And that's with me reading a teleprompter, and I'm terrible at reading teleprompters. But I digress, and I got really sidetracked there. So what I was trying to communicate with YouTube ads, make at least 3 of them, give them a trial run. The last round of ads that we did, they did not work. I think we ran a couple hundred people through it. And sometimes you'll go through a funnel and you'll look at the numbers, and for us, it was, we just needed 1 more sale out of 100. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was 1 or 2 sales shy of actually break even. And it's one of those things where you look at it and go, we were so close. And then you have to just scrap it and try it again. So our version of scrapping it is we're going to try the same strategy with a different product that we think is actually going to work a lot better, and that's going to be our Google Ads campaign builder. We tried the Google Ads copywriter, which is I think we were selling it for about 95 bucks. It's a really in-depth training on how to write Google Ads. There's no link in the descriptions. I'm just sharing what I'm working on here. And that one was just shy of being profitable at $95 running remarketing ads here on YouTube. So we'll try it out with the campaign builder, and I wound up spending a good hour on this one graphic here. So I go through and I actually typically, what I'll do is I will draw out, hopefully I'll take a different shot. So I'll draw out kind of what I envision, and then I go to design because Google Slides, I don't know how to use I only use PowerPoint and Google Slides. It never comes out the same way that you think, but it's a lot easier to brainstorm on paper, even if it's just for a few minutes. Normally it takes me 5 or 10 minutes to kind of brainstorm, come up with a couple ideas, and then try it out. And the reason I'm sharing this one in particular and talking about how long it was is because this graphic is going to be in our YouTube ad, and it's not in the sales video that I actually recorded a couple weeks ago. And the reason, well, is because it's taking me an hour. So when you're creating your marketing, just remember that done is better than perfect, and you can always make something cool down the road. Like I'm working on this, it's taken over an hour. I probably have an hour or two more for this really simple graphic, and that's just because I want to be able to zoom in on these different parts during the ad when we're doing the demonstration. So we can zoom in, show the screen capture, and then zoom back out to this. Now as a viewer, they're probably nobody's gonna notice, nobody's gonna care. I think it's really cool, but it's just one of those things where you have to remember that I skipped it the first time I was doing the sales video. So something's going to be in the YouTube ad that's not in the sales video. All that to say, done is better than perfect. It's super cool to have fun and try new things and get more creative when you want to, but do that after something is posted. Like the sales video, it's up, it's posted. Now I'm spending all the time being OCD, playing around, because I can always update the sales video. I can always update a YouTube ad. You can't update something that hasn't been published. All right, so rant. Okay, so rant over. That was a really, really long-winded way of saying done is better than perfect. You can always go back and update your stuff later with things, creative things that you really wanted to do. Okay, now that I've summed it up in 20 seconds, it's time for me to go get a massage to hopefully get the last ounces of knots out of my back. You've probably seen from all the B-rolls, I have terrible posture now staring at these screens for the past year and a half because they are not high enough, and hopefully get a foot scrub to help with my swollen heel and ankle. Just finished the deep tissue massage, and of course the best thing to do after So, just finished up a really great swim. Time for some pizza and trying to figure out why this thing isn't working. And thanks to the power of YouTube, it only took a couple minutes to figure out that there's no way for me to fix my GoPro, because apparently a bunch of people with 7s and 8s have the exact same problem of things freezing. And because my firmware is updated and I'm using an actual GoPro battery, the only thing you can do is take out the battery, hold the power button, and then, you know, the electronic magically works with pretty much you do with any electronic that breaks. The only problem is if you're in the middle of the pool or the ocean, which is why you have the GoPro in the first place, then you can't really do that. So, broken piece of hardware here. So in the future, I'll do a review of the GoPro, the Sony Mark II, and of course the DJI. And spoiler alert, I'm pretty much just gonna say vlog on your phone, because even in this shot, the lighting is terrible. The lighting on the phone camera wound up being the best, although I digress. So after figuring out there's nothing I could do to fix the GoPro, I went ahead and continued working on a new set of YouTube ads. So now what I want to show you is kind of give a brief overview. Don't worry, brief overview. I say don't worry, and you can see the timestamps below. You know whether or not I ramble too much. I have no idea, but I'm going to try not to. So I'll go through how I took an actual live ad, actually Monday.com's, because they're super successful advertisers, deconstructed their ad, wrote my own script, and then put together the slides and actually plan out when I'm going to show up on camera and when I'm not, because I stink at reading teleprompters. So let's jump into my screen and I'll show you what worked. Now, as we dive in here, of course, there's a fine line between straight up copying and drawing inspiration from. So obviously you should always draw inspiration and not just blatantly copy other companies' copy. So in this particular instance, I am using Monday.com as a template. So essentially what I do is I look at a successful ad, or an ad I think is successful. I mean, 67 million views, probably working pretty well for them, and we've all seen the ad multiple times. And then I'll figure out the framework, and I'll pretty much do the same thing for our ad, and I'll try and follow the flow of the ad that I am is essentially using as an inspiration. I shouldn't say copy, because then there's going to be that one person in the comments, you shouldn't be copying ads, you should come up with it from scratch. Yeah, no copywriter or marketer does that. Everybody looks, right? You got to draw inspiration from what's already working. So then we'll go through the, it's probably a little too harsh there. Then we'll go through the slides, and of course, I'll quickly go over the sales page that everything is being, where the traffic's going, right? Where the traffic is going. So let's kick things off with the ad itself. I'll go to Fiverr or have someone on my team transcribe it, or I'll type it out really quick if it's short, and then break it up into the different sections of the ad. So once you start deconstructing other ads, even if you aren't using a YouTube ad, you're, as an example, let's say you're going through a sales letter, you'll be able to, as you read through it, you'll be able to see clear sections and clear steps that they're going through in taking someone from, I have no idea what this product is, to, oh, okay, this might make sense for me. And so here is the legend of what all of these different highlights mean. I won't get too much into that. So I'll just go through the first couple sentences here, and then I'll jump over to my version and show you how we're kind of going back and forth. And one of the reasons I chose this one is Monday.com, of course, let me just read it. Oh my gosh. You know this, but okay, for the last time, right? If you manage a team, you should be using Monday.com. It's a platform to manage any team and any project. Marketing meetings, classic project management, sales pipelines, creative productions, anything. We'll start with a board, and then it goes on from there, right? We've all heard that. So because this is for a software product and they're trying to take something that is seemingly complex and make it very easy to get started with, which is a huge problem with software. Everybody wants the software, but they don't want to learn how to use the software. So what we're going to do with our Google Ads Campaign Builder, which is a tool that helps people be more effective with their Google Ads, launching their campaigns faster, and of course, evenly rotating their ads effectively every 2 weeks, because that is essential. So I'm not pitching you the product. That's just that's the elevator pitch. Okay, I'm not pitching you the product, but that's what it does. So what we do here is, if you have Google Ads campaigns, you should be using the Google Ads Campaign Builder. So we're going to eliminate about 90% of anyone who's watching this ad, because we don't want to pay after 30 seconds, right? We want everyone to skip. And I'm actually using this as a remarketing ad, so we know that people are interested in Google Ads because they've watched one of our videos. And then we go into, it's an elegant data-driven tool for quickly launching and scaling your Google Ads. So something that was interesting with the Monday.com ad that I really liked is they just said what it is, and they didn't get too salesy with it. Now I got a little salesy because I'm embellishing it with elegant and data-driven, quickly launching. And if I was being a lot more plain and didn't want to come across as potentially wordsmithy or spammy, I could just say it's a tool for quickly launching and scaling your Google Ads, right? So we're just embellishing it a little bit here. And then we move on to who is this specifically for? So we've eliminated the 90%, so now we're going to eliminate down to the last 2%, right? So it's perfect for service providers, e-commerce, digital products, coaches, agencies. So if you don't fall under one of these categories, you're probably not going to continue to watch the ad. Of course, what's ridiculous is almost every business owner falls under this. but I digress. Not every product's going to be like that, and that's what they've done here. So you can see how I'm looking at what are they doing. They're saying who this is for. Okay, well, I'm going to say who this is for. And next, they go into making the start process easy. So, of course, everyone can interpret it differently, but I'm looking at this and saying, okay, they're trying to take this seemingly really, really awesome product that they have and make it sound like it's really easy to get started with. So, I want to do the same thing, and frankly, I could not come up with a good thing here. This is actually a bullet point directly from the sales page. I just could not come up with something. So then what they do is they literally say every step is clearly laid out. And so I think that's one of the few times, oh, they say everything is visual. So I just reworded it. Everything is clearly laid out. And then we just go through some B-rolls of the different key features. And so we don't get too into it, right? We just say this is what it allows you to do. You focus on the results. Always focus on the results. Don't get into the weeds of how it works, just what it does for people, because that's what they care about. And then we pretty much end the ad after that. So if I go into the slides here, you'll be able to see that I start off live. So the introduction, if you're using Google Ads, if you're running Google Ads campaigns, you should be using the campaign builder. It's an elegant data-driven tool. So that I will do live in front on camera. And the main reason that we've been doing it this way is so the people actually recognize myself as the person who's doing it, because I've tried it in the past where I do 100% slides and people just have no idea, right? And not everyone's going to just instantly recognize your voice. And so then you can see we have a couple of basic slides. We just show something for what the product's going to look like. This is a graphic I spent way too much time on, right? And then I start thinking of what can we do with stock footage. So stock footage, there'll be some stock footage to represent each one of these different types of businesses. And then we'll have a B-roll just clicking through the tool, right? And then we'll go back to live. So I'll come back on again. And I think in our document here, this is what I say live. Every step is clearly laid out. So something that this is new for me because we tried the last set of ads I tried to read a teleprompter, do the whole thing through. I hated the way it looked, and it almost worked. We almost got away with it, but we didn't. So something else that I really recommend doing is trying to sparse out when you show up on camera if it's the way you want to do your ad. And that way you don't have to memorize the whole thing, right? I just have to memorize this opening line. Every step is clearly laid out. I can just read this verbatim, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing behind the camera. And then all I need to do is read this line of text. And then because this is only a 90-second to 2-minute ad, you only need to show up 3 or 4 times or 3 or 4 lines live in order for people to feel like you're still there talking. And that's really all you're trying to do here, because trying to memorize all of this and deliver all of this is just, it's not worth it, and you're going to come across as a robot. And then of course we go down to, I'll get to why I have these screenshots in a little bit, but you can see here that we really don't have a whole lot of graphics for this particular one. And I just realized that I should have showed a different one because we don't have very many graphics. But essentially this is kind of how I storyboard the ad. And if I'm going to have a B-roll here, I just say, here's what the B-roll is going to be. And I do this slide by slide so that it's really clear when the editor comes in, they know exactly how things are supposed to flow. And inside of our doc, I always put an S for slide. So even if it's going to some B-roll, they know it's supposed to change, the scene is supposed to change. And of course, because this is an ad, we're changing the scene as quickly and as much as possible to kind of keep the ad feel rolling. Now, there is one thing I want to point out here, and this is a frustrating part about marketing, but I'm just going to be straight with you. Producing high converting top spot campaigns has never been easier. So because this is a really generic thing to say, this is another area where I didn't really have anything good to put there, and we just need to get this ad done. I went ahead and took some credibility screenshots. That's something that the Monday.com ad didn't have. And of course, the Monday.com marketing strategy is they actually follow up with you later with testimonials. So they know that they're going to have another ad. Whereas I don't, and of course I don't have testimonials because this is a relatively new product that we've been using internally and we've never really shared it. So I went ahead and included some screenshots just showing, hey, we've gotten some pretty good results for clients. And as spammy as this could potentially come across, I can say from the data that simply showing numbers like this really does make a difference. We've run several tests in the past, and when we don't include little things like this, it seems like results are not as good. And this doesn't come down to like you bragging. Definitely don't make up these numbers, but people just want to know, can you actually deliver on the results that you're talking about? And so that's why we included these screenshots here. And then of course I go live to say, click the blue button in the banner below this video. And I actually stopped saying learn more or start now because we want to be able to split test what the blue button text says. And I also have to show up on screen and click and just point below, because on mobile, it's on one side, and on, nope, mobile's over here, and I think desktop's over here. I'm probably reversed, but mobile and desktop aren't in the same place. So you just have to point below so that you don't have to make two separate ads. And we used to make two separate ads. It's not worth the headache. Just make one ad and point below. Make that your live part, because it's really easy to remember. Click the button in the blue banner, or click the blue button in the banner below this video. And so all of the views for this particular video will be driven to this basic sales page. And so I'm not going to say that this format works, because this is the first time we're doing a video. I will say that a basic sales page like this is done pretty well with a $4.95 product. So this one's going to be significantly more than that. And we have one that's at $95, and a sales page like this works. Now, of course, the asterisk here is that we only remarket, I gave it away. We only market to people who've already seen our content in the past. So that does it for how we're going to use a successful YouTube ad as a template to write and produce our own YouTube ad, and then how we go ahead and plan out the storyboard right here. And you don't really need to worry about hook and what you get. We're constantly testing. And of course, this is actually pulled over from a different ad formula that we've used in the past. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you enjoyed this last little rant here, which wound up being more than half the blog. But go ahead and hit that like button, comment below with your YouTube ads questions or questions about Boracay, because I'm going to be here a little bit longer. So until the next, keep building the business you love.